Hi everybody, it's Chef Brian here. Nice to see you. I'm here on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving getting my turkey ready. I want to show you my turkey over here. It's a 26-pound bird that I got from my friends Kim and Rich at Chestnut Farms in Hardwick, Mass, which is our meat CSA. CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture. And what it is you buy a membership or a partnership in a local farm and you pay some money up front or on an ongoing basis to that farm, and then they supply you their product directly without going through a middleman throughout the course of the year. We've got some other products here from our local CSA, our vegetable CSA, Linden Tree Farms in Lincoln, Mass. And we're getting ready for Thanksgiving. We're going to have a lot of great people over for Thanksgiving, and I want to show Kim and Rich how I handle their turkey. We have a bunch of people coming over, and we're going to have a lot of great food. My brother-in-law Rick shot a deer this past weekend, and we're going to have some venison on the table, so it's going to be a really fantastic Thanksgiving. So what I want to do today is just get the turkey brined, and we will use it tomorrow and break it down. I'll show you how I prepare it for Thanksgiving. So for this application, what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 gallons of cold water and dump it in our plastic bucket. We're going to take 1 quart of water that has a cup of salt and a cup of brown sugar dissolved in it. We're going to pour that in. Then we're going to add some other products that we've got here, grown locally and or from the supermarket. Some rosemary and thyme from my garden, some lemons and limes, a little white wine, some black pepper, some dried tarragon from our kitchen garden, celery and onions, some fresh sage and serrano peppers from my brother's garden, and some leek greens that I just got today from the Linden Tree Farm. We're going to put those all in the plastic bucket. We're going to add our turkey, and then we're going to top it off with cold water and let it soak until tomorrow. So what we're going to do is we're going to break this turkey down today. And what I mean by that is we're going to cut these legs off on both sides and take the legs off and debone them and then fill them with a traditional Thanksgiving stuffing. And then we're going to roll them and tie them and roast that separately. What that's going to do is give us the amount of time we need to cook the breast nice and evenly, also a lot faster, and it's going to give us beautiful round slices of dark meat that are stuffed with Thanksgiving stuffing, as well as provide a lot of bones for us to make our stock and our gravy from. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove these wings. So we're going to use those for our stock and our roasting base for the turkey. I'll show you that part tomorrow. So the first thing we do is break that little bone right there and cut those wings off. Now I'll do the other side. And we'll find that joint. There you go. And cut right through there. I'm going to leave those wing drumsticks on there for now. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these legs off this bird. So what I like to do is I like to leave as much skin as I can with the breast, because that's the dry part. So I'm going to cut the skin very close to the leg here, as much as I can, and get down in there. And now I'm going to do the other side. So again, close to the leg. Cut that down. And we've got the legs mostly separated. And what we're going to do is we're going to break what essentially is just the hip bone of the turkey. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut a little further. We're going to break that bone. Pop that joint right out of the socket. And if you do that on both sides of the turkey, and then you tie it up, you'll have cut 1/3 of the cooking time right off the turkey. You can cook it just like this with those hip joints broken, and you'll have cut 1/3 of the time off your cooking time for this 26-pound turkey. But I'm going to go ahead and take the whole leg off because we're going to roll them and stuff them. So we're just going to travel along the bones of the body. The hip joint is already broken. We'll do this side. And that leg comes right off of there. No problem. So we'll go ahead and do the other side, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. So here's our turkey leg here. What we're going to do is we're going to make an incision here and here along the two bones and try and get those bones out of there and get this flattened out so that we can stuff it later. So I'll just get started here. First thing I'm going to do is make a line with my knife like right there, and then down along this bone too. Okay, until we find that bone, expose it, so you can see it right there. And really this will come away very easily. Takes a little practice, but you know, first time for everything. So then we're going to work our knife around this knee, what is essentially the knee joint there, and we'll find this other bone here and start to expose that one so we can get around it as well. So then we're going to come up here, and this is the tricky part over here a little bit, where I guess what you would call on us a patella is, but I just kind of try and go around a little bit, and we may have to dig a few pieces out at the end of the day, but really we'll start to go like this and like this and really expose those bones so they come right out of there. And we'll bring the knife all the way up there, and eventually we'll circle behind the whole bone and remove it. It's not the only bone in there. There's some cartilage and some pin bones that we'll have to remove, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But in the moment, you can see, well, I guess we've got the femur out, and then we'll cut down here and cut down here, cut around the back here, try to make sure we don't lose any of that meat. Okay, that's looking nice there. You can see it coming out of there pretty good. And we want to try to not cut through the skin on the other side too. So we'll cut along here a little bit. And I know this is kind of messy, but give it a try. It's fun. See how that whole thing comes out? And then we'll use a bigger knife to cut through these tendons here. And I'll actually get out a pair of kitchen shears to use to cut these off. Got a few more here. Voila! That leg bone is out. And we will put that in our stock pot. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim this up and then try to like create a little square out of it so that it's nice and even, so then we can stuff it and roll it and tie it and roast it. One of the hardest parts about this is removing all the pin bones from the drumstick end of the animal. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to take these out. There's quite a few. I don't know how many, but I worked through it, get them all out. I put them all in the stock pot to make gravy with later, and they make a fabulous gravy. So this is how you take these bones out. There's quite a few tendons. There's a couple of big tendons, like this one, that you have to take out. Well, you can't really see it quite yet, but you just work through it, and anything that's kind of too hard, you just slice on out of there. So we've got our turkey leg boned out. As you can see from our cutting board here, we've got our little pile of trimmings that I'm going to use for the stock. I'll put those in the stock pot right now. And we have our turkey leg right here. So as you can see, it's kind of it's more or less maybe a triangle right now, and we're going to try and make it more into a square so that when we roll it and stuff it and tie it, that it roasts more evenly. And I'm going to use a technique called butterflying. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut this muscle here and fold it over so it covers this blank area over here, and then we're going to take our meat hammer, and we're going to kind of pound this out gently so it makes it flat, a little bit more even. Then we'll be ready to stuff it and roll it. So here we go. We're just going to take this, and you don't want to slice all the way through. Be careful with your hand here. I'm just going to slice a nice big through that muscle, and then before it's disconnected, we're going to fold it over. And as you can see, we've now made this much more even and much more of a square. So I'm going to top it with a piece of saran wrap. And now I'm going to gently pound it out so that it becomes a little bit more flat and a little bit more even. All right? So here we go. And basically that's it. That's a leg that's ready to be stuffed, and we'll show you that in a couple of minutes. So we've got our turkey leg now flattened out and squared away, and we're going to now stuff it with the stuffing, but first we're going to season it a little bit. As you can see, here it is, and we're going to hit it with a little salt and pepper, because that's always good. That'll be nice. Little pepper. You can use fresh ground if you have it. I like to hit it with a little onion powder. Not too much, just a little sprinkle. That looks good. Then we're going to put some fresh thyme. That's fresh thyme. Sprinkle that in there. And this part's pretty easy. That looks good already. And then we'll put our stuffing in there. We'll kind of tuck it in. This is just an apple and bacon stuffing that I made. You can use any kind of stuffing you want. Cornbread, and it really doesn't take too much. You might have to make a little extra if you want to stuff the rest of the bird. But I like to have a little extra, and I try to prepare it the night ahead so that it's nice and cold. So when you do this, it's ready to go. I also try to keep it away from the edges because we don't want it to pop out once we roll this thing and tie it. So there's our stuffings in there. And this part's pretty easy. Let's put those over there. So what we'll do is we'll just take this and we'll just roll it over. And roll that just like that. And tuck it in a little bit. Make sure the skin is covering. And look at that, just like that. We have a boneless, stuffed turkey leg that we'll have a great Thanksgiving meal with. So now we'll tie it off. So my tying skills aren't great, so I just usually just go at it. Real butchers can do this very fast, but I never did a ton of this kind of work, so a little slower for me. What I do is make a knot right there. Then I drag the string up. I put it under. Come back around. Keep making sure that stays in a tube. Then I put it through again. Bring this part up. And then just go down the line and make sure that that's all done that way. Make sure it's tight, but not too tight, so that it doesn't squeeze all the stuffing out when you're done. So here's another one. So slide this under. Straighten it out. Make another loop. Make sure that's kind of even. Tighten up the pressure a little bit. Do it again. Bring it on up. And maybe one more. As you can see, you want to kind of keep it together. This will help hold it together when it roasts. And when it roasts, it'll really become one unit. It won't feel like it's been butchered in this way. When you slice it, it'll have just nice, beautiful circles of dark meat filled with stuffing with no bones. And let me tell you, when you try that, it's so delicious. And it looks really good too. Now we'll take this last piece of our butcher's twine underneath, and we'll kind of tuck the ends a little bit. And we'll tie it off back here. And that's basically it. We kind of got it together. We'll tie it off. Make sure it's nice and tight. And we'll do both legs this way. And then tomorrow, we'll go ahead and roast it off, both these legs separately, and I'll show you about the roasting process tomorrow, and we'll actually film some of the actual Thanksgiving buffet, and you guys can see how this looks at the end of the day. We'll talk about time and temperature tomorrow, and so I'll see you on Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining. It's Thanksgiving now, and we're going to get our turkey in the oven. What we're going to do is we're going to brush the turkey and the turkey legs with butter, and then put some fresh herbs on them, and then we'll just pop them in the oven. So first we'll just brush this down with some melted butter. Doesn't that look good? We're not going to stuff this bird because I've kind of removed the cavity where you would stuff it. So we'll put some nice melted butter on here, and I'll show you how to do the stuffing later. We're just going to heat it up in the oven with some turkey stock on it, which I have boiling on the stove. Very nice. Get those little pieces of the wing. And then here I've got some parsley, some rosemary, and some thyme. And I'm going to sprinkle those on these. And these legs I'm not going to put in the oven just yet because they're not going to take nearly as long as the breasts here. These breasts I think are going to take about 2.5 hours. And we'll check the temperature using our thermometer. We're not going to go by minutes or 20 minutes per pound or anything like that. We're going to bring this turkey breast up to about 155 degrees, 157, and then we're going to let it carry over cook for when we take it out to rest it, because it's important to rest it, and then it's going to bring it over the 160 mark, and that is where you need to have for food safety, and it's going to be delicious and moist. All right, here we go. We're just going to pop it in the oven. I just wanted to show you this leg of turkey that we boned and stuffed and rolled and roasted. So here's our leg of turkey. We're going to cut this open and show you what this looks like. So there you go. That's your leg of turkey right there that's been boned and stuffed and rolled and roasted. Thanks very much. Well, that's it for me today, Chef Brian. I'm happy to show you how I made this turkey from our local CSA. This is our beautiful Thanksgiving feast. All my friends and family are here, and we're going to sit down and enjoy this. And I just want to remind you to support your local farmer, support your local CSA, and support your local craft brewer. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Bye now. Yay!